So with studies and different friends, is there some sense of conflict with, say, maybe you have common friends and one of you has a misunderstanding or whatever, sense of communication breakdown with somebody, but both of you are friends and the other person doesn't have the problem. How do you deal with something like that?
I mean, that has happened with us. I mean, I had a rip with one of my friends and she didn't have. But in that situation, she understood that I wasn't wrong. If I was wrong, then she might have made me understood that whatever you've done is wrong. Go and talk to that person, sort it out. There has been times where but she would stand by me. There has been times when she is not okay with people I am friends with, or there is a problem between two of them. So in that situation, basically, I keep my distance. Like I tell her to keep her distance with that particular friend, or otherwise we talk it and sort it out. That's how it is. I mean, she knows if that person is. I know if a person is right for her or not. Even if that person is not, and she still wants to keep that relationship with that person, and I'm okay with it unless and until she knows what she's getting into and she has that sense what that person is actually. Then I have no problem. If she knows what that person is, then it's completely fine.
So when you're sounding quite wise and balanced about your equation, is it that wise and balanced when you sit down to talk, or does it start a little bit nastily and then
The
tapers
thing is,
down to normalcy?
basically, we don't even talk sometimes. We understand each other like without even saying something. But if we have different opinions on certain topic, we sit down and talk on it or either discuss it. Even if we don't come to a conclusion, we agree to disagree, but we'll have a talk on it. If we are like we are going poles apart somewhere, we'll talk about it for sure.
So is there one of you who has to come down to, do you think of it as a compromise? Or
We
is
agree to
that a
disagree.
mutually understood thing that let's resolve it rather than let it linger?
We don't compromise as such. We just leave it there and we never, touch that topic or it just naturally dies out. We never compromise on anything. I don't think so. We still do. I mean, we'll agree. It's okay. She'll it's do your what opinion. She wants to do. Yeah, I'll do what I want to do, and that's fair.
Hmm. In terms of people reacting to both of you as twins, is it irritating that people see you as one at times when they would
Yes.
say you have a
Yes.
different point of view
Yes.
and your
Because
personality is not taken into account, and
yeah,
uh,
yeah. That's
I'm saying
that's
mainly guests and other people who come generally, they talk about you as one, but both of you may have, uh,
it does
despite
happen.
your similarities.
It does happen because now when we are in college, people see both of us as one, but we do have different personalities, and because of that, they assume things that, Arey, you like it, so she'll also like it. You have this, so she also have it. That stays, but I guess that should change, and it's slightly irritating also because we both are different individuals who have different choices. We just say are sisters, so that one thing I think people should understand, but it's not their fault. Also, I can understand.
Yeah, mainly because I think we are a very visual people. So when we see somebody who are like twins, so you look similar, to the ability to understand that your different personalities may be hindered mostly. So okay, so now couple of questions on what are the things about her that each other you can answer one by one, that matters most to you. Like this has to be there. Matlab, even if she was, you said that you would have connected to each other in spite of the fact that you were not sisters, if that were to ever happen. So, what is it about each other that kind of attracts you as a human being? These are qualities that you enjoy having in your friend or in somebody who you cherish.
I think I can trust her with anything. I know I can talk to her about anything, anybody, whatever comes to my mind. Secondly, what should I say? Like, even if I'm in a very tough situation, no, she'll make me calm and understand rather than blaming me on things. Like she won't blame me in the first instance. She would make me understand. She would make me calm down. And thirdly, I guess the basic, love and care. There's a very deep bond between us, like from childhood. That's one thing that I think no one else I can share it with. Yeah.
Okay, what about you?
For me, I guess first thing is there's no judgment. I mean,
Hmm.
whatever
Same.
times happy, sad, bad, ugly, good, she'll never judge me. She'll accept me for the way I am. Honesty, I mean, whatever it is, we are honest with each other, whether we like a certain thing, we don't like, we dislike about anybody. We are honest, there's no judgment, and the basic nature that I look for, other than Mahima, also is pure and pious heart. I mean, there's no ugly, bad feeling about any other person. Just a good, simple, normal person, and that's it.
Okay. Um, in terms of, uh, wait, I had a question to ask. Your answer tripped me. Um, basically, there are certain relationships that one outgrows with time for the sheer reason that we are growing up, and then we'll have other relationships. Say, now this is an hypothetical question. You will have relationships as you grow. Say you get married off to two different families, two different uh, ways of living, perhaps. Sometimes that might happen. So if you were, and this is a hypothetical question, like I said, so you just have to think and answer, both of you separately, obviously. Uh, how do you perceive each other in different environments, and how would you react to something like that? Right now, the bonding is there. There is a shared space. There is obviously the many years of togetherness that you had. But at some point of time, and it's not just because you're girls. I'm saying even if you were to pursue different career paths at some point of time, or somebody travels somewhere else and has to make a living elsewhere, there are various reasons people have to geographically stay separated from each other. So in that case, um, how would you see the situation? How would you see each other's growth, or because right now you're each other's strength and you derive from the commonality as well as the differences that you have. But at that point of time, I want you to individually think about the fears and the doubts that you will have about yourself without this sense of support that you have from your sister, right?
I think that even if we are separated, like geographically, she's in a different place, I'm in a different place. I guess the basic solution to it is communication. So even if I'm in a problem, I think I will call her like first and I'll talk about it. So when I think if we don't talk with your siblings or sisters, that's where the problem comes in, because then there's like you create that barrier which goes on and goes on, and there's a distance that comes in. So if we talk regularly or try to communicate whenever you have free time, or even just share your problems or whatever is going on in your life, I think we'll be communicated. We'll stay
No,
communicated.
you misread the question. The question is when you're forced to stay separated and
Okay.
there is no line of communication for various
There's
reasons, not
line.
necessarily
Acha.
not necessarily because you want to.
Acha. Okay.
So how do you fall back upon yourself now that you're listening to each other and figuring out what you are depending on each other for, or the sense of value systems that you cherish in each other? So now once that support is not there, what is it that you take from this conversation? I'm not saying this conversation is deep enough for you to evoke that kind of thing, but it's a hypothetical situation. If one were to reach that point, how would you live with the fact that you will not have the support system that you're used to?
I mean, yes, I have thought about it sometimes, not distant or, but even if we were in different colleges, I had to travel without her, or even if some petty things like even if she's not that, I feel it's difficult for me because in many ways I am dependent on her. Like there are so many things that I am reliant on her, and yes, times would be difficult without her, I'm quite sure. But the thing is, we have come together, but everybody has to go alone. We have to survive as an individual, so we will manage and cope up. But I think the words and the bond and the advice, whatever we had, it will stay with us even if we are not together, right? Yeah, whatever we shared or whatever we know, or what however she talks or her thinking and her mindset is any which way is gonna stay with me. So even if I know what I'm doing, I might know how would she react to it or how would she feel for it. Like, so even if I don't communicate with her, even if I don't see her, I know what would be her opinion of about what I'm doing or whatever I'm thinking. So I think we would manage, like, for sure. Yeah, but I am too dependent on her. So I guess it might be difficult for me, but I would cope up. Like she said, I'll use that trick.
So I wanted to, since you are the one who is admitting that it will be difficult, can you
Yeah.
speak a little about the sense of fear and doubt that you have about yourself, uh, which doesn't get completed because finally, even though she's a sister, she's an outside influence, and the fear and
Yeah.
the doubt is inside. So, what is it that you tell yourself now? Suppose this situation starts right now. How do you deal with it? You don't have her to go to.
So it's
How do you
like
deal with this
it
fear
is
and doubt?
difficult. For example, right from childhood, I'm dependent on her for like really small things. For example, if we have a party to go, I have someone with me throughout that party. So I never feel that feeling of aloneness. I haven't felt that feeling of aloneness, loneliness since a very long period of time. So even if she's not with me, for example, if I have to go to college tomorrow and I have to catch a train, she's always with me when I'm catching that train. But tomorrow, if she's not there, I'll definitely there is a feeling of loneliness with me that I would feel because I'm attached to her and my actions depend on her. So that feeling of loneliness would strive, but I have to get over that fact because we have never been separated that way. But if we do in future, that we will, it's difficult for me. But I guess with time, we learn things, right?
Yeah, I think that is one lesson that you should take home from this in terms of living with that sense of fear and doubt and figuring out what is it that she likes about you in terms of value systems, irrespective of the fact that she's your sister. Unfortunately, it's not as easy to imagine a situation like that, but that is something worthy of uh, contemplation, at least for you. So, in terms, like even now talking to you all, and in spite of the fact that I've known you for quite a few years and we've had different kind of chats on some random issues on and off, sometimes together and or maybe with one of you. Uh, One of the things that is coming to me is that she is far more grounded in terms of accepting her fears and doubts and limitations. And you are,
Right.
she is, and you are a little more outgoing and aggressive and standing up and figuring out uh,
Yes, that's
how to save the situation in the present moment, kind of thing, for
yeah.
either of you. So, do you use this to good effect when people see you as one and be a little corrupt about it? Okay, so now this situation is a little dicey, so you go forward and do this. You stand up because you stand up often, or else, no, no, this requires a lot of patience. You go forward, and does this
In
happen to you?
kind of situations, I go first always. Whenever there's a situation like it, we feel like, I mean, it's difficult and someone has to face it first. It's always me because I know she can't do it. I always go first. I don't know why, but I don't feel the urge like you should go first or anything. In that situation, I mean, I just go forward and accept that situation first. Maybe it's because of my selfish thinking. I'll get over it pehle and who's going to keep the burden of that later. So I go. there's nothing like no. I'm so feels like well, it was a very small thing, but even when we are taking our driving license ka test, I told her like you go first. I'm not going first, okay? Because I'm like I'm very anxious, nervous. She doesn't even feel that before anything. No, I do feel, but I show. I just don't want to keep that burden with me for any minute longer. So I just face the situation. So
Okay.
that's the
So
personality difference.
do you sometimes regret the feeling that she's gone first and she's done
No,
with, and
never.
or else she's created a new sort of problem that you otherwise had not anticipated? Does something like that happen?
Actually, no, because if she was like first, she'll tell me, "Na, I do it this way, do it that way." I am so prepared, double prepared. So I never regret when she goes first.
Okay. So this has been a wonderful chat, and I find there are a lot of unspoken values, and some of them were talked about by both of you. It's good to see the bonding uh, is not just imaginative in your heads, but it is actually apparent because you've also spoken about things that you do not like about each other, or things that you find complement each other, and you kind of accept it. Uh, I am presuming that you take the same wisdom out there in the world and be a little more kinder, because all kinds of people we keep meeting. And thank you for your time. Is there anything that you want to add in terms of uh, value systems that you together cherish, and anything that you want to speak about?
Just had a lovely session chatting with you. Yes, going to take a lot of things from this conversation, and it was wonderful being here. Yes,
Thank
same.
you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
I'll see you around. Bye.
Bye.